For sure. Thank you so much for that. That remembrance. It just felt so amazing. Do you guys want to share a little bit about what you experienced in the chat? I know Holly mentioned that she's got constriction in your throat, and then I feel constriction in my money flow so bad.
Yes, if you have questions, really raise your hand and let's um, get you on the call. I can't, so part of the reason I do this is I can't hear, there's a whole bunch of stuff I read for with people. I can't hear what's going on in your body if I can't hear your voice and your breathing. And it's interesting because one of the things I've noticed over the years is the more that my breathing opens, the more that the flow of energy opens to me. So I can play a little bit. Holly, do you mind getting on for a second and we can see what we can do with this throat thing? I'll teach you guys a trick if you've got stuff there. Um, oh yeah, and thank you T for the stream thing. It's so funny. I find that so amusing. I have like an infinite amount of um, joy as I play with these things, like people saying, oh, like these images of money with its little feet. Like, it doesn't have little feet. It's just energy pulling it along, the current.
Holly, you're unmuted if you would like to share a little bit more about your throat.
Oh, it sounds like it's Chad, actually.
It is Chad.
But
Thank you.
Chad, welcome.
All right.
Let's see where you are. So tell me, you said that you noticed this in your throat.
Actually, I did the money EQ with you as well,
Oh, cool.
and it's something that's been coming up nonstop. Actually, is that constriction in my throat whenever I do any kind of meditation around money.
Ah, interesting.
I'll feel good until I start meditating on it, and then I get constriction in my throat, like it's actually something's caught in my throat, almost like a lump of some kind. um and so whenever, and I kind of treat my money that way too, unfortunately. I don't necessarily open up that flow as freely as maybe I should, or I really contemplate making purchases, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a real challenge for me to just sort of let go super easy, unless it's something that's really necessary in my life or my family's life, that I really need to purchase, or whatever the case might be, right?
Gotcha. So, which makes a ton of sense because if you think about it, if your throat is constricted, how much breath can you actually get into your body?
Oh,
So there's
absolutely.
so there's going to be a sense that like, oh, I got to be really careful about the breath I have because it's hard to get into the body. Same with the money. So I'm going to teach just I'm going to give you an exercise. We'll do it together, but I want to give a little frame for everybody else. If anybody has any experience, Pat, you're on with me. You've done this with me before. Some of the rest of you have as well. Any experience where you're constricted in your body, you think about money, just test this out. I love that Chad is bringing up the best first question we could ever have. Just notice if there's any constriction anywhere in your body. Because one of the things that we know is that every part of us is working for the good of us all the time. And so when you have something like that coming up, that's a message that we want to listen to rather than try to get rid of. Anytime we can partner with parts of us and hear what's really the good that's there, um, we can actually move through it. So if you've got one of those places, just notice it. So Chad, for you, what I want you to do is just take a few breaths. I know the throat's tight. Don't worry about money for a minute, but just take a few breaths. Part of what we always want to do, the other reason I always start with breath is we always want to work inside of parasympathetic nervous system. So this is in kind of a simple way. I say green brain, red brain. Red brain's danger brain. Green brain's peaceful brain. If you're feeling constricted, that's kind of something that happens when we get scared. It's like, I'm like, oh, I can't breathe. We contract a little bit. So we just want to always breathe and do this work in a place of green brain. Now, because you're working with me, I'm holding green brain for you. I'm calibrating for you. You don't have to worry. You'll stay there. Anybody on the call, if you start to get a little danger brainy, listen to my voice. Um, Listen to the tonality, check in with my breathing, and just breathe. But but Chad, you got that in your throat. Can you give that feeling of constriction a color?
Turquoise.
Okay, beautiful turquoise. And we don't have to worry about what we call it right now, but can you ask that turquoise feeling in the throat if it would be willing to be in conversation with you for a moment or two? And I'll give you a hint, it's always going to say yes,
Yeah.
because every part of us that is having a message for us wants to be heard. If we hear no, it's because we're a little afraid.
Yeah, I got the go ahead.
Cool. Awesome. So you're just going to want to move that for just a moment. We're going to let it come right back. And the reason I say this, I'll make this distinction for everyone listening in. The personal development world largely wants to get rid of, destroy, break through, stomp on all things that we have that are trying to speak to us and give us really important messages. So that would sort of be like if the mailman came to your house and every day you set the dogs after him or her, you set a hose on them. They're bringing messages. We want to receive them and go, welcome, mail person. Let's find out what's here. So we're just going to let this part know that we're going to bring it right back in. So just move it out about arm's distance away. You just do this so you can see it. And this is a space of intimacy. We only let our friends this close. And then all I want you to do here, Chad, is as soon as it gets out that far, I just want you to say, I see you. I see you, turquoise, constriction. I see you, constriction. There's no judgment in this. We're just acknowledging it.
I see you, turquoise. I see you, my constriction.
Yeah. And you've got a little tension in your chest as you even say that. And
Yeah.
that's okay. You can just notice that and be like, I got some tension in my chest. It's okay. It's okay to have some tension. We're just seeing it. And then the second thing I want you to do, which is going to sound a little silly, a little crazy maybe, I want you to say, and you don't have to say any of this out loud. You can just say it in your head. But just thank that part of you that's been constricted, that's been working really hard to give you some message. We know it's been working really hard because this isn't something that happened once and it was done. It's something that's come up and up and up. There's something it's trying to tell you. And it's worked so hard. It's sort of like a 3-year-old pulling at your pant leg going, Chad, 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 can you pay attention to this? But we're like, I got other things to do. So just thank it for putting out all that energy for you. Let me know when you've done that.
Okay.
Beautiful. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to listen for its true name, its highest intention for you. So you're simply going to ask this thing that's been turquoisey constriction, what is it you most want for me? What are you working for here? And we'll just see what shows up. And for this part, do let me know what you hear or what feeling pops up, what insight.
I got the word acknowledgement.
Okay, so just this is a place where we get curious. There's never going to be a right or wrong answer when you're in conversation with these parts of yourself. And in this case, I want to know a little bit more acknowledgement of you, of something else, of what?
I'm kind of getting the impression of acknowledgement of all the work that I'm doing to acquire this, but at the same time not letting it express itself.
Yeah, usually when we have constriction in our throat, there's some truth that we can't speak, that's having a hard time getting out. So that all of this work you've been doing, who told you money? You have to work hard to make money.
I don't recall actually hearing it. More of it just being impressed upon me by, all the people around me. Not just parents and aunts and uncles, but just society, basically the kind of environment I grew up in.
So just for fun, what if that were totally the opposite? What if you don't have to work hard at all? You just have to let it flow.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, let's see. So acknowledgement, what happens when you acknowledge the hard work? And we're just being curious, by the way. There's no right questions. So for all of you who are having these conversations, just keep asking questions. It's a relationship to self to be curious. So what good thing happens when you acknowledge all the hard work? Oh, there it is. Okay.
Feels praiseworthy.
Yeah. So my guess is little Chad didn't get much sense of significance in his life. He didn't really get to be seen. Does that feel fair? Like folks didn't go, "Wow, Chad, you're amazing. You're the deal."
Yeah, no, I mean, as a child, I was more interested, or I guess growing up, just being attuned with myself and making my own life, not really latching on to the outside world, I suppose you could say.
Yeah, okay. And generally when that happens, it's there's not been much of a space. You know, kids adapt to what they're presented with. Um, can we just ask this part of you if it would be open to working with you to get that acknowledgement, um, while it allowed you to have money flow more easily?
Yeah, yeah, we're good with that.
Cool. So just for a moment, notice if there's any shift in the color or the feel of this, what was constriction, which now we know is a desire for acknowledgement.
Well, yeah, there is. It's a lot brighter of a color, almost taking on a non-color. I've noticed my neck and shoulders are much looser.
Yeah, so you had a nice parasympathetic reset there. That's really cool. So we're just going to invite that color, that new non-color, either back into the throat or wherever it feels most appropriate. Just invite it to come back in. And now you have a partner to work with you to get acknowledgement while you let money be easier to flow.
Yeah, settled in my chest cavity.
Beautiful. Does that feel a little better?
Oh yeah, I don't know. It feels a lot better actually.
Yeah, this is the difference for me. When we play together in a group, one of the things that just happened is this whole group is holding space for you and we're calibrating together. We're doing what I call tuning the group. So it's funny, part of the reason I talked a little bit more at the beginning today is because I was tuning the group. So to my voice, to my cadence, to the tonality, um, so that it would be quicker for you to move. It's a little faster than we do the recordings. So the live piece, and the reason I'm saying that is because I want each and every person who's here on this call to know how important you are for each and every person. Um, Even if you're saying nothing, even if you're just sitting witnessing someone, you're adding tremendous value. You're allowing Chad to have movement. And we're also, as soon as Chad gets a little movement, and some of the rest of you were having a little movement, I was watching some faces and some opening, the whole room starts to shift. So this is what I affectionately call sitting in the hot tub of prosperity. This morning we talked about sitting in the hot tub of creativity. I love hot tubs, can you tell? So we always have big hot tubs that we all just sit in and we relax together and we acclimate to the water together. So beautiful. Thank you for giving us that opportunity, Chad. There was a huge gift. Thank you for being willing to share. So, honey, you
Thanks,
tell
Chad.
us where we want to go next. Do we have other questions? Do we have other people want to
Yeah, we have
play?
other questions, and then we also, um, before we go into the other questions, well, someone, Addison or T. Addison Brown mentioned that the metaphor of stream as energy and the leaf as money on the stream is very helpful. So many times we say energy, energy, but what do we mean when we say energy?
So the question is, what do we mean when we say energy? I mean a lot of things. So for me, energy is the in the Chinese sense, qi, right? It's the flow of life. So energy becomes, and it really, I do think about this as a current. So when I think about it as people, so one of the things that I play with is in Taoism, there's something called a microcosmic orbit that moves from the top of your head down to kind of your little bottom of your spine, and then it goes back up. And we could play in we have mini microcosmic orbits. We see this in so many different energy systems. There's a flow throughout the body and that expands beyond the body. So I think about this as a river. And it's the reason when anybody says to me, "Oh, I feel blocked. There's things I need to get rid of." I'm like, no. First of all, there's no blocks. There's only things that get frozen. So we're never trying to get rid of anything in you. We're just trying to get whatever river part. You know, if we had a river moving and all of a sudden there were some ice chunks that formed because we left some parts of us behind, we don't want to get rid of them. To me, that's like saying, "Oh, I'm not feeling well today. I'm limping on my right foot, so I think I'll just chop it off." It's like, no, we want to be tender with that foot that's lost some of its movement, and just be delicate until it gets its movement back. So that flow of energy in us is our own life force that then just plays with lots of other energies in life. I was in a conversation, this fascinating conversation with my friend Catherine Woodward Thomas a bit ago, and she's written the Calling into One and Conscious Uncoupling, and we were playing with the differences between the energy of money, which I think is a little different than money. It's the energy that energy fuels the things we want to create, but also the energy of love. They feel different. Like when we step into the energies, for those of you who did money EQ with me, you might remember that we stepped into the energy of money. And folks had really interesting experiences of what it felt like for them. Usually the energy of money is just clean. It's sort of like water, just wants to go somewhere. So hopefully that makes sense. It's a hard question to answer because it's so metaphysical and we can't see it. So, we do the best we can to define this animating life force. Um, but at the end of the day, we're so small in comparison to this giant planet we live on. It's part of the reason I like sharing how many species of trees, how many, like 3 trillion trees on the planet, how big the ocean is. And there we are, these tiny little humans, like an ant on the back of a whale trying to understand it. And we don't have to understand it. We can just marvel in it and understand the part that we're in and be present to it. And understanding is fun too. Like I like trying to figure it out, but I also hold everything with a bit of lightness in the sense that we're probably never going to have all the answers until we're not in this life. So
It's a nice way to let that incessant part of us go, the one that needs to know all the answers, that um, wants to see the path. One of the things I loved about the remembrance activity is also the part where we breathed into our purpose and then
yeah,
we let go of the purpose. And I think that there's so many times where people put so much pressure on your purpose and for you to achieve your purpose or to accomplish your purpose that sometimes you might feel constricted. But once that air goes through, just like the throat exercise that we did with Chad, then the purpose begins to have more life and more room. And so my question, and I think like it would be very interesting to understand as well, like how do you see our offerings or how do you see each person sort of like the relationship between breath, energy, offering, purpose, and that flow?
so when you say offering, do you mean like the kind of things that we're selling, or just give
Yeah,
me a
the
little?
things that you're putting together, the products, or whether it's like the value
Okay.
that you're bringing into the world.
So I love that you use the word value, which is different than the word offerings. So sometimes those are good to separate out.
Yeah.
Um, I'm a little cranky in the personal development world because so much of what has happened in this world,